Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of our Health and Wellness Expo online. I am so excited to introduce to you Jessica. We have only really just recently met through actually Jessica's mum here in New Zealand. So Susan heard my story and just went, oh my gosh, you so have to talk to Jessica. So here we are. Hi Jessica, how are you?
Oh, I will. Leave it to my mom to brag about me, of course.
Mums are good at that, aren't they?
No better person, I suppose.
Yeah.
Should probably be paying her a marketing fee.
Yeah. So Jessica, you're all the way over in America. Whereabouts in America are you based?
We are in Nashville, Tennessee.
Ah, Nashville. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you were born in America and you've spent some time living in New Zealand and Australia for some time, but you're back there now, married with two little people in your life.
That's right. Yep. They keep me very busy, but still, I just feel this desire in my heart to serve others somehow with a 3 and a 1-year-old. I'm gonna make it happen.
Isn't it crazy what we do as humans? You know, like I think if you have that bone in your body to serve and to help others, it doesn't matter what other chaos you've got going on. You kind of work it out so that you can, because you just so have this need in you to be able to share with others. So I'm so glad to have you here. We had a little chat earlier on, and I was just like, oh, we just need to stop and start this interview and put all this information in here, because I think you will all really enjoy hearing Jessica's journey and what she's doing now. So on that note, Jessica, do you want to tell us a little bit about your health journey that's got you to what you're doing now as a business? Because I think it's really amazing what you've been through and that you've come out the other side. And are now in a place to help others, because when you hear where Jessica's been, I think there'll be people out there that hear this that go, oh my gosh, this is me. So I'll hand it over to you, Jessica. You tell us a little bit about your story and what you do now.
Sure. Well, thanks again, Hazel, for having me. I'm just really grateful to be on this space, and just hopefully, like you said, to be able to reach other folks who are feeling a little bit lost and maybe hopeless, like I certainly have found myself back in the space I was before I found healing. So, when I was 22, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And as a 22-year-old, I had no idea what that even meant. So that is an autoimmune disease that can affect your entire digestive system, and mine was concentrated in my colon. And so it caused a lot of havoc on my body and on my life and on my productivity, and just was just a really tough and challenging time to try and find answers. So not long after my diagnosis, though, I transferred to Sydney, Australia for a work transfer. And within about 6 months, I was able to come off all of my medications and lived my life without any kind of issues. Didn't change my diet, didn't change my environment, my role, my job, everything stayed the same, and carried on with life. But then when I returned to the US 2 years later, within 18 months, I had 3 colonoscopies. I mean, I was sick immediately upon re-entering American soil. And so, becoming sick and having these different tests and seeing that my condition had advanced to a severe case, they were throwing different medications at me. I was taking them. I was not getting any better. I was doing what they said. And then finally, after all those failed me, I was left with one option, which was an immunosuppressant therapy. So an IV therapy that they would hook up to me every month or so for 6 hours on end for the rest of my life. And I was 25 by this time, and my fiance at the time, we were young and we had planned to have a family. The idea of having that be a lifelong commitment, and heaven knows how that would also affect me. They also told me that this therapy would still give me a 75% chance of requiring surgery in my lifetime. It was likely to stop working. And they had given me a consent form of 2 pages worth of side effects that can and has caused yada, 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 including cancer and death. And I just put it down, decided, you know what, I have been able to live without this before. And I just know that there are environmental controls I can implement to get back to that place. And I just felt confident in saying no and going on the path on my own to figure this out. So really it was a rough year and a half or so of just scouring the internet, trying to find positive stories because there's just so much doom and gloom online. This was just so hoping for any kind of success stories, and there were so few at the time. It was so discouraging. And so I was just kind of trying anything I could grab, it was anything alternative that seemed to be healing. I worked with naturopaths and I tried essential oils and acupuncture and different dietary changes and juice cleanses and this, that, or the other. And then just each individual thing kind of to no avail. And so finally I had stumbled upon an online course that, I was constantly digesting, pun intended, all of this health information that I figured I may as well get certified or have, some sort of credibility behind all that I'm studying. And it was kind of through that process that I helped to put those pieces together. So it's not just the diet, it's not just the exercise, or it's not just, the acupuncture or this de-stressing. It's all of those things.
But that whole holistic approach.
It's a culmination of those things. You start with your diet and you make the changes there, and then you move on to the next area of your lifestyle and you make the changes, but you keep these changes over here and you track them and, be mindful of how your body feels, and then you move on to the next thing and the next thing. And so I kind of finally put the pieces together of all these different areas that affected my health, and got myself about 75% of the way, and made huge changes in how I felt, and recognized that there was still then a portion of my health that needed medical attention, which is when I sought help from a functional medicine doctor. Okay. And so basically what I've created in the program that I've put together.
Can I just stop you there? Can you just explain what a functional doctor is, just in case there's people that don't understand what a functional doctor is?
Oh gosh, well, I probably won't do them,
justice.
Justice in explaining exactly what they do. A lot of times,
we'll put a disclaimer in here that this is just our layman's version of what a...
Yeah. A lot of times they are medical doctors. The one that I saw was a medical doctor who had trained conventionally and then had her own health journey, and was disappointed and let down in her own treatment and swerved into functional training. But essentially, like you said, it's the word holistic. It's looking functionally, systemically at trying to find the root cause of the issue. So not, you go to a dermatologist because you have a skin breakout. They're going to give you some sort of cream or some sort of steroid or some sort of antibiotic to help you with whatever is happening here. Whereas a functional medicine doctor is going to say, okay, you're having a breakout here. This means that you have a gut imbalance somewhere else. And because of where it is, that means it's hormonal. So we're going to address that here. We're going to do some labs. So
a little bit like a naturopath insofar as they have that very holistic look. They actually, they don't just look at, oh, you've got a sore wrist, therefore let's put a bandage on it.
Right.
They look at, oh, you've got a sore wrist, but how did you get that sore wrist? And look at the connectivity to everything else that's going on in your body. That's awesome.
Right.
So you can carry on again now.
Yes. So I sought out one of those people. And with their help, I was able to get to the finish line of being completely off medications, all of my levels the malnutrition and malabsorption that I was experiencing, how underweight I was feeling, how brittle my nails and hair were, my skin just lackluster, just so many things were able to regulate themselves.
Wow, that's awesome.
My a really interesting part also that was sort of a byproduct was initially I had really irregular cycles, and my OB had told us to expect it to take about a year at least for us to conceive if we were going to start trying to have children. And once I had gotten my health under control, my cycle regulated and we got pregnant immediately.
Yeah.
Part was just incredible, just kind of as a reminder of like, hey, the body is, you know, a well-oiled machine, and when it works the way it's supposed to and you feed it and you treat it the way it's supposed to function, it will function the way it's intended.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Things that feel wrong, or have always, you just kind of thought that's just how you were. I just thought I had an irregular cycle. There's something behind that. You're not supposed to function that way.
Yeah.
So that's just a really interesting byproduct of the whole story. Was
your children are a byproduct of your story.
My healthy, beautiful children are a total byproduct. And I'm so confident that had I gone down that other route, one, they would very likely not be here today, but two, they would look very differently.
Yeah, I imagine. And I would imagine as a result of all of the trauma your body was going through, that they would then carry those things, you know, like issues or, you know, something. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So the whole experience just made me think about myself that 18 months ago, just desperately trying to find any kind of sense of hope or positive stories, and just be like, I am going to be that. I want to show somebody that it is possible. You don't have to be a slave to this diagnosis. There are things you can do within your own control, and that it's possible, that there's another option out there. Yeah. So I kind of just tried to cut through the noise of everything that I went through trying to discover all of this, and just put it in a quick and easy 6-week program. And as someone who's been there and someone who kind of just breaks it down.
To help people to advocate for themselves, to know what questions to ask, because like you say, as we were speaking earlier, like there's so much noise, you know, like you're stuck in this health crisis and you yourself aren't even thinking right, and you're desperate to find a solution. And you know, so many doors get closed in your face when they say there's nothing wrong with you, or you just need to take more medicine, but the medicine doesn't make you feel well. All of those things can make so much noise and so much disease in yourself that it's really hard to see the wood for the trees, largely, you know. And so to have what you've created, to create this program to help people, to be that advocate for them, to go, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Is your body doing this? Is your body doing that? You know, like, so that they can actually take a step back and actually critically think about where they are actually at and what they're actually doing in their life, so that they can help themselves. And you know, whether that's help themselves by asking the right questions of a doctor that maybe isn't seeing what they don't physically see what they're feeling, you know. So it's fantastic. So do you want to tell us a little bit, just briefly, just how your 6-week program works?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of have it broken up. So it's over 6 weeks. It covers 5 fundamental elements that affect autoimmunity. So the other part that was interesting of all that I had learned, and so my initial thought was that I would help folks just with Crohn's disease or maybe ulcerative colitis, because those are very closely related. But the very first person I tried this out with had Hashimoto's.
Oh, wow.
A thyroid autoimmune disease. And I just started to explore the link and just recognizing that there's this one root cause to autoimmunity, and it's gut health. It's all gut related. And so I thought, wow, okay, this is a broader audience than I realized, which is great. So there's these 5 key elements to digestive distress, essentially, that I cover. So diet, stress, rest, exercise, and toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
So we cover each of those on their own weeks. And then the very first week, we cover a health history. So I send you a health history in advance. And that's the really neat part that kind of brings in the functional medicine piece too, is looking back through your history, starting with birth and how you were born, can impact your immune system.
Isn't that just phenomenal?
And just going through and looking for triggers of immune responses to help you put the pieces together of your own health, of perhaps where this came from and why this happened to you. So we start with the health history, and then we cover each of those five things over the rest of the remaining weeks. And then also weaved in there are the 4 R's that functional medicine uses to heal autoimmunity. So that is remove, replace, reinoculate, and repair. So we combine those with those other elements to help you put all of these pieces together. So the final piece is a physician form. So this is where I recognize my limitations. I am not a medical doctor. I have multiple certifications in wellness related fields, but I'm not a medical doctor. And so as an autoimmune patient, it is something that is a chronic disease that you need medical help with. And I was able to get myself about 70% healed through all of these diet and lifestyle changes. So this last piece is big still. And so what I put together is just a list of questions and supplements and tests and things that you can help feel prepared to ask your doctor about. And certain panels to dive deeper to figure out your individual picture and what certain things that you need. So that's kind of what it is in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You know, I think the most valuable thing I've learned through this whole experience and what I hope to share with others is not only my own healing, but it empowers me and allows me to make better decisions for my children. It helps me to understand how I can better support their immune system because they're genetically susceptible from me. And of course, anyone who's has autoimmune, there is a genetic component. But there's such a big piece of that that's environmental, and that is what we control, and that's what we can do something about.
Yeah.
And it have to just be like, well, my mom has it, so here we are.
Yeah. No, I think that's
so
really
much you can do.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Jessica. And to be able to help people that are in that situation so they can environmentally change their own, to empower them to change their environment, to get themselves largely there so that the work that they do need to do with a doctor is far more manageable. That because medicine is great, but it can only take us so far. And if the environment within which we're in, whether that's what we're putting on our body, what we're using in our home, and what we're eating, or all 3 of those combined, that stuff's not covered by the doctors. That stuff is our responsibility. And we like you mentioned earlier, like I talk a lot about it, like the toxicity of cleaners and all of those sorts of things and body products in our world. That stuff it's not regulated. That beauty industry is just, and cleaning industry is just not regulated. So you can't trust those products that are on the shelves. Like they're not caring what that product's doing to your body, like it's, so you have to empower yourself with that knowledge of understanding what is actually toxic and what those toxic products in your environment then actually do to your body. And if you can teach people those things and learn those things, people can calm a lot of that noise, like the noise space that you're in. You can calm a lot of those things down. I call it, I talk regularly, and even this wellness expo, helping calm the chaos, like it's helping find and de-stress some of those things, so your body is not so much in stress all the time by changing your environment. It's, you know, it's in New Zealand, we're super lucky. You know, we get, you know, there's you know, it's far easier to just eat really healthy fresh food that hasn't been contaminated
Yes.
or largely genetically modified. You know, like, you know, the carrot that we grow in the garden is just a carrot that's just an original carrot. It hasn't been genetically modified into something else to be sweeter or oranger or bigger or smaller or whatever they modify them to do. So there's not those mixed up chemicals in the makeup of that carrot if it's not been genetically modified. So if you eat a normal carrot, then you're eating something normal, and you get to digest it normally. But if you're eating something that's genetically modified, your body has to work out how to deal with that. And that's the complexity that we get to. But the same said for whatever cleaners we use or products we're putting on our skin. So, you know, calming that chaos and calming that noise means that you can kind of filter down to really what's wrong with you if you've got a medical condition, and then it's easier to treat that. And it may mean that, yes, you still need medicine, but less of it, for it to have the effect that it needs to have for you. So yeah, so I think our stories are really important to share, be it a story like mine through adrenal fatigue and mineral deficits through my body from the impact of having babies so close together and breastfeeding them, or whether it's autoimmune for you, you know, and the journey that you've been on. By sharing these stories, people go, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh my gosh, this person can help me through this. That they've come out the other side. They're empowered in their wellness and their decision-making processes. And I really hope people hear that comes through really strong, is that people like ourselves, we can help people to find their way, you know, like they don't have to walk that path the same way that either of us have walked it and stumbled and fallen. And you know, like for you, you must be so ever so grateful that you had that glimmer of hope as a result of moving to Australia and having no symptoms for 2 years, you know, like that. It's like, and then you get them back again, and it's like, well, but I've lived without them, so there's something that I can do to get me back there. I just have to work out what that is. And that, you know, like, you know, you do look at some people and you just go, oh, if only they could have a day, you know, like hugely obese people that can't move their weight, you know, if only you could take 100 kilos off them for a day so they could feel what it was like, that would give them the hope and the motivation to keep doing those little tiny changes every single day that will help them to lose that morbid obesity that they're carrying. You know, it's all of those health things, regardless of where you're at. If you can find that hope and that motivation and a guiding light, be it a 6-week course or a health coaching course in your situation, you know, if you find those things, then, you know, life can be better. You know, it might take you a little while, but life can be so much better. You know, you don't have to accept where you're at if it doesn't feel right to you. You know, you can really make a difference on your own, with the appropriate support of medical practitioners where they're needed, you know. So yeah, so I hope people have really heard that from what your story is, you know, that really it's been environmental. So yeah, that's sort of, I asked Jessica before we hopped on, you know, like, does she actually fundamentally know the difference of, you know, like she obviously got clear in Australia of all these symptoms, but then immediately gets them when she goes back to America. It's like, what is it? Is it the air or something? But, you know, like you were saying to me, it's the phenomenal number of ingredients that are in products in America. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and you know, I'm also not naive to the fact that there are still so many people in Australia and New Zealand that do have autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
There are a lot of different factors to it. I think that was the thing that was just one of the switches, and the biggest difference to going back and forth was just the vast amount of chemicals that are in US food and body and home products that are banned in other countries can make a big difference in the way that things are processed here. But people still suffer and still have autoimmune and chronic disease, obviously, in Australia and New Zealand. And so that's just one piece of the pie. I mean, that's just one area that you've got to clean up, but there are so many other things you can do to be a mindful consumer, but then also to be an advocate for your own health. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what I realized was if I sign this consent form, it's no skin off my doctor's back if something happens to me. It's my responsibility for how to take care of myself. It's not anybody else's job but my own.
Yeah.
And so not place that responsibility on anybody else and assume that they have my best interest, because
they don't.
Well,
you're the gatekeeper to your own home, and no one's going to advocate for you any better than yourself. So it's just helping people to be equipped with the right information so they can be their own advocate. So I'm so excited that you've created this program. Like, listening just to your summary, I'm just like, well, that could easily apply. All of those things could easily apply to someone going through adrenal fatigue, from going through just completely compromising what you would like to think is your normal life, anything like that, going through those 5 different things and really addressing how they are in your life, and then resetting your body. That's basically what I did. That's basically what I have done to feel as good as I do now, and be comfortable in saying that I feel empowered to manage what adrenal fatigue I still have. It's something that I'll manage for the rest of my life largely, but I feel completely and utterly in control of it now, that it doesn't control me. I own it. It's mine. I've been there. I've worked through it, and now I can live my life comfortably, knowing that I have tools in my toolbox to help me just realign myself if I get a little bit out of whack. And I guess it's similar for you. You know full well what you can and can't allow to move through your body, and what you can and can't have within your home, to ensure that you can live healthily and have strong hair, and your skin's the right color, and all of those sorts of things. So
that's another piece of it too, is being able to catch the symptoms before they become a flare, and then you can do in that moment to calm it down. There have been several times, even in my healing, where I've gone through a very stressful time and could feel my symptoms coming back, but I had the tools that, instead of going to the emergency room like I had done in the past, that I can calm them down at home. I know what to do. I can calm, frankly, my intestines throbbing with inflammation. I can do that at home with things in my cupboard. Right?
Yeah. And that's what I think is just so empowering, when you know that you can listen and you hear those triggers in your body early, and that you have the tools that you can then implement in your own home to avoid it becoming another crisis or a big event in your life. I think that's really, really awesome. Really awesome. So if people want to get hold of your course, they can go to your website and learn a bit more about it, and a bit more about you, and contact you directly. We're going to put all of the details down in the comments so that you can do that. Thank you, Jessica. It's been wonderful to have a conversation with you, to meet you. It's not the last time that we will have a conversation.
I'm sure.
Yep, and I'm sure I'll get off this interview and send your mum a message and just go, "Oh, thank you for connecting us."
Well, I will thank her too.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you get back to your evening, because I know it's evening and you've had a big day being a mama to your beautiful 2 children, and that you've graciously given us this time of your evening. So thank you so much for being part of our Wellness Expo. if the information that Jessica has shared has resonated with you, please reach out to Jessica. You can put comments below this post and I'll make sure that she sees them. I can help you get in touch with her, whatever it needs to be. If you'd like to contact Jessica or learn more, then please follow through on those links underneath. But thank you so much, Jessica. It's been absolutely wonderful having you here with us today.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, thanks team.
See
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.